Welcome once again to Family.ie. As we continue today's radio magazine programme, we turn now to another article. No doubt when tragedy strikes and innocent lives are lost, it's only natural to ask the questions, why? Why do bad things happen to good people, especially when guilty parties seem to get away with no remorse? Like I said at the start, there are rarely any easy answers. Someone who knows that all too well is Toby Willis. In recent years, he and his family of 12 children have experienced great success as the musicians known as the Willis Clan. But before they started climbing the mountains of success, they experienced some extremely dark valleys. Our own Stephen Carty caught up with Toby via Skype to tell us more about it.
Toby, would you tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are? And bear in mind that the listeners won't probably in the main know who you are, and would be interested to hear your story and something of where you've come from and so on.
I'm one of the second of 9 children, and I have an older sister, a younger brother, and then there's like a 10-year gap, and then I had 5 more brothers and then a sister. And I think it was 1994, there was an accident and a piece fell off a truck, fell onto the highway. My dad was driving behind the truck, and the piece actually punctured the gas tank on the minivan and basically blew up the vehicle. And 5 of my brothers and one of my sisters were in the vehicle at the time with my parents. And the kids were killed. My parents made it out. They were very badly burned. And what happened is, people were just, it was a horrific accident, shut down, the major highways in north of Chicago, and it was all over the news because, you've got hundreds of thousands of people affected by traffic, and everybody wants to know what's up. And then when they found out the story, it was just, horrific. And, all the press, gathered around, and they found out my dad was a, Christian minister, and they're like, how could a God allow this to happen? And so, it was a very big and important question to ask, but my dad was put on the spot, and it not only made national news, but even international news. And people all over the world, responded to what went on. And my parents said, look, we know what happened was a tragedy, it was terrible, but, we believe that, God's in control, and he has good reasons for what he does. No matter how bad things are, he has a reason for it. And what happened is, and of course, the press were stunned, and people were just like, wow, that's they're not used to hearing people react that way. And we were very upset about what happened and everything, but we did believe that God's in control. But as a result of that, what happened is what came to light was there was a whole bunch of corruption and illegal things going on. And in the investigation of the accident, the police uncovered stuff that were illegal. There was the truck driver, for example, was illegally driving. He got his license through a bribe, and there was all this government corruption that was uncovered, and it ended up resulting in over 80 people accused of crimes, and I think just about all of them pled guilty. It was really a sad state that so many people had done things wrong, and none of them thought that what they were doing was that bad. But they didn't realize that one domino went down, and then another one went down, and next thing you know, people were dead. And the investigation turned out that it wasn't just my family that was affected, but there was over, I think, 70 or 80 people who were either killed as a result of all this corruption, and or at least seriously dismembered. I mean, it's just horrific stuff. It went all the way up to the governor of Illinois, and then 2 governors of Illinois actually have been convicted and are in jail as a result of this. So it's been, in many ways, people have seen that, hey, there's so much corruption going on. People were suffering, and in some ways, the accident was the spark.
It must have been a great challenge to your faith, Toby, to sort of stand your ground in a sense in the challenge that came to you as a result of this tragedy that happened to your parents and to your brothers, your sisters and brother.
Every single day it was on the news and the newspapers, and people were talking about the accident. And you've got to make a choice when bad things happen. You either you're going to be stuck in the past, or you've got to sit there and look.
You don't want your life to be defined by that for the rest of your days, do you?
At the time I was already married. I had 2 kids. Jess and Jer were already born when the accident happened. And, I'm like, I've got little kids, I've got a wife, I can't just sit there and just give up and stuff. I've got to move on and get past this. But there's no question that, moving to Nashville was kind of, the physical distance helped. But there's no question that it helped Brenda and I really focus in on family. Because it's like, look, we've lost 6, important kids, and it's like, what are you going to do with the ones that we still have?
Little did you know that you were going to have 10 more.
No, we didn't. Although before my wife and I got married, we agreed that we'd try for 12. So, we were planning for a big family, and, and God's been good to us. But I'll tell you what, it's just, my kids being musicians, there's a certain sense of closure when, my kids, now write all these songs and love music. And in a sense, I don't know, just somehow, at least in my opinion, there's a kind of a closure that happens there.
And yes, I suppose it goes back to the old saying, when we're faced with injustice, we have choices to make, whether to become bitter or to become better. In the case of the Willis clan, that is certainly not a cliche. They have gone on to become very successful as a family of singer-songwriters, musicians, dancers and television stars. In 2012, they performed at several concerts in aid of Family.ie and then went on to become champions in the All-Ireland Clachol. Well, we're glad to announce they're coming back to Ireland. They'll be performing all around the country throughout the month of April. For full details, head over to Family.ie and click on Meet the Willis Clan. Hopefully you've never suffered a tragedy on the scale that the Willis family has, but we want to remind you that there are many resources available to help your family survive and thrive through the tough times of life. We think you'll find that Family.ie has loads of information that can help. There you'll find articles, tips and full-length radio programmes. Feel free to either listen online or download them for later, and do keep in mind that we love to hear from you. Our text comment line is 086 251 6886, or if there's any other way we can help, do email us radio@family.ie. Again, the comment line is 086 251 6886, or email radio@family.ie. You're listening to family.ie. We need to take a break now, but when we continue, does it seem like an impossible task to raise your kids to become responsible adults?
That enables them. It helps them to take risks and fail and recover from the failure.
The team will look at that a bit more in just a moment, so keep it tuned right here for more on today's edition of Family.ie Radio Magazine.